you watch this. This is something that have been made by akirpi, akirpi, one of the guys that is watching the show every week. Not sure he could be there on time, but that's something he made especially for you guys, and I hope you're gonna love it. Not sure you guys will have the sound, but the guys on the stream will have it. Are you guys ready for it? Let's go.
That's just awesome.
And at last.
Oh.
Is he on wireless headphones?
Guys?
Oh, there, you're back.
Oh, sorry. Technical difficulties, guys. Welcome back to the OC show. It's the 6th episode for the season 4. I'm Atlas. You can call me Atlas, Zero, whatever you want. Tonight, I'm with my co-hosts that are Tullius and Billzoid. And tonight, we're going to discuss several topics, as usual. We're going to discuss what happened this week regarding overclock competitions on the HWBOT and other news. So let's dive right into the competitions and the HWBOT stuff that happened this week. Tullius, let's talk about it.
Yeah, there's actually been a lot going on. There's a lot of competitions actually gone live. There's a lot that are carrying on. There's few that just finished. We can start off with Rookie Rumble 46. There's 342 overclockers who took part. So really cool. And of course, Protein from France. I believe he's taken the win. So far, I think. Well, there's still 14 hours left, so he's not really taken the win so far, but he's looking good. Then there's obviously Frito. There's Kava, and then there's Rose City PC mods. There's some lots of nice up-and-coming overclockers who are, benching pretty hard. Good to see. And then we've got Rookie Rumble AMD 40. Well, that one it's also ending in another 14 hours or so. And right now Secret Dragon is in the lead, followed by Suffrage, and then Frozen FX Frosty. Well, So I'm kind of hoping for even more, scores here, because there's still 14 hours left. So yeah, sandbagging still at play. I wonder if the rookies are already, they figured out the concept of sandbagging, because that's one, that's one of the things that.
Here we go again.
Okay, so basically that's basically it for the Rookie Rumble. There's obviously good stuff going on here. And then we've got one of the biggest comps that's actually still going, which is you've got the Team Cup 2017, and now there's not been very much change in terms of the overall ranking in terms of the teams. Overclock.net is still in the lead. Warp Systems is closing in. They're only under 40 points, 38 points behind. So yeah, they're closing in. Extreme Overdrive, OC Team Italy, ROG Check OC guys, and our overclocking. So it's beginning to heat up. Billzoid's older team, I think, they're doing pretty well actually, Bill. Yeah. And not much change in terms of the overall ranking here.
I saw that the Italian team went from the 4th place to the 3rd place.
Yeah.
But still many points behind the two main US teams, yes.
So dominated right now by the United States, but there's
America.
But
America. Exactly. So it's been quite of an interesting run, and it's still 2 months left before the competition ends. So everything is totally still in the wild. We could still see the last team being the first. They are the Canucks guys. So those are colleagues.
Yeah, they're number 9.
Yeah, that's not bad at all. I mean, it's nice to see that those tech journalists are trying to push harder in the overclocking
That's just awesome to
arena.
see, actually. Yeah, that's actually really, really nice to see.
I wonder if Dimitri or Eber are actually benching themselves. I doubt so. They don't really have much time if I got it right.
Yeah.
So yeah,
So that'd
it's
be
nice
awesome to
to
actually
see.
have a submission from one of them, huh? It'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And then yeah.
You go.
Yeah, and then of course you've got the Gigabyte Beat the Heat competition, which just got over. 33 overclockers. It was won by Lumi. As we were mentioning last week, the big guns were still missing. I think Bull Shooter was in the lead back then. Correct me if I'm wrong. Yeah, Bull Shooter was in the lead back then. And well, Lumi's taken the first spot from Bull Shooter, and then you've got I don't know how to pronounce his name. How would you pronounce? Well, and then in fourth place is Psycho. Fifth place is Lucky Noob. Speaking of Lucky Noob, did you guys catch the article about him hitting 5.2 gigahertz on ThreadRipper? That was pretty cool, huh?
Yes. It was for the actual announcement for the ThreadRipper specs.
Yeah.
It was on August the 2nd.
Yep.
I'm really bad with numbers. I'm sorry, even though in my work that's a bad thing, but never mind. I digress. It was able to hit 5.2 gigahertz on a Zenith Extreme, right? With a 1950X.
Yeah. Yep.
So once again, we're seeing the Asus boards giving it all when it comes to extreme overclocking. Yeah, ROG guys. And I have to be honest, I'm really tempted to get one together with a 1950X.
I'm dying to buy one myself. I mean, and then of course you've got Road to Pro, which is I think the new hot big comp running this month. Apart from obviously Team Cup, but this is more individual. So this is going to be big. There's lots and lots of stages. There's up to round 7 in Division 3. There's 7 divisions in round 3. I'm so sorry, and then there's 5 stages in each. So that's 35 competitions in essence. There's 35 different benchmarks.
It's a huge competition. I mean, it's a huge series of competitions.
Yeah,
and we get from the known HEDT i7 from the Division 1, plus a card that is lower than the Titan X or Titan XP.
I think it's just all the Titans are banned for that one. It doesn't matter how slow your Titan is. If you have a Titan, you can't use it.
Yeah.
Okay, I guess.
I mean, if you used even then, it's like, why would you use a Kepler Titan in a competition where there's 1080 Ti's?
Exactly.
You're not getting anywhere anyway.
Yes.
So it's like, so Division 1, anything below high-end desktop i7s and a non-Titan class GPU. Then for Division 2, you're looking at an i5 and a GPU slower than the 980 Ti. So that includes things like the 1070 and basically down from there. 980s, 1070s, you get the idea. Yeah. Then for Division 3, it's i3s plus anything slower than an R9 Fury. So like 290Xs, 390Xs, 980. No, I guess 970s. 980s would be just on. They'd be really borderline.
We're waiting for a little bit more clarification because the
GPU allowance lists aren't comprehensive. There's too many GPUs.
Yeah. There's too many.
Then there's Division 4, which
just
is
one quick thing. Dankop just commented in the chat that in the Pro OC Cup, the Titan XPs are allowed, so it's just for the divisions that the Titan is not allowed. I think that's why it's like Pro C's Division 0, and then there's Division 1 to 7.
Yeah.
So you go on. Sorry, it was just a quick thing.
So and then we have something for the AMD people, Division 4. FX or Ryzen 7, which I think is absolutely like an awful classification, but you know what, we'll take it. And any AMD GPU that you can get your hands on. So basically, Division 4 is, are you a massive AMD fanboy? That's the division for you because it's all AMD hardware. Nothing else is allowed. There's no NVIDIA cards, no Intel CPUs. Then we have Division 5, which is AMD APUs. So, you know, anything from FM2, FM2 Plus. The AM4 APUs just came out. Yeah. I'm not sure about how they rank, if they're allowed under the rules. They probably are, since they're not going to necessarily, like, there's... I guess for the GPU benchmarks, they might have a really big advantage compared to the DDR3 stuff, but for the other benchmarks, they're going to be pretty similar. Then we have Division 6, which is Ryzen 5 or Ryzen 3, and any AMD GPU slower than a Fury. So again, like 390X and down, and it has to be an AMD GPU. No NVIDIA is allowed. And then the very last division, which is Division 7.
Division 6, they're saying, well, choice is limited to single graphics card, excluding Titan 1080 and 980 series. So technically, you can do a 1070 there.
In which one?
In Division 6.
It's lower than Fury.
I'm pretty sure one of the stages mentions you have to use an AMD GPU.
Yeah, that is
for Division 6.
No. It's just the AMD.
That's for Division 4. The graphics card choice is limited to a single AMD graphics card. So that's Division 4.
No, Division 6, GPU Pi 32 billion, a video card, limitations of video card manufactured by AMD. It has to be an AMD card for those.
Okay, so
and stage 2 is 3D Mark Vantage Performance, and again, AMD GPU. I know it's the overview page doesn't mention it, but then when you go to the actual stages, it does say you have to be on AMD.
Yeah, because there it says any single graphics card excluding Titan 1080 and 980 series. That's all it says.
Yeah, I also see that, but then I went and checked the actual stages, and it's like AMD only.
So guys, the things that you find in the overview pages are just guidelines, and if you want to
really
participate
check each stage,
check the stage you want to participate in, then you will have more detailed information about the competition and the division. So yeah, I think the last division, the Division 7.
Division 7. Bit of a blast from the past. 1366 and a GTX 500 series NVIDIA card. So, yeah.
Yep. It's time to be digging out those old school boards.
590.
Dig out them
580.
6 cores and kill it. Rampage 3s, and then you've got the, what was it?
The original OC motherboard from Gigabyte, the X58 OC.
Yeah, the one you were in love with, right?
The first
and
orange
the UD9.
one.
The UD9 too.
Yep. The UD9 too, and even classified, right?
No, the Gigabyte UD9.
Yeah, the UD9 for sure.
Oh, you mean also the classified? Yes, the X58 classified. Yeah, was it the generation where there were like six different classified, like classified, FTW, like it had the 9901 thing, the serial 4-way, 3-way. Was it that generation?
No, I don't think so.
What was that then? Yeah, I think it was the X58 actually.
Yeah.
Like the 3-way, the 4-way, and etc. Yeah.
Yeah.
Keeping on the
competition. Is the SR2 allowed? That would need some clarification. Interesting.
Technically, it's LGA 1366. It's not X58. So yeah, the SR2 is allowed. Go for it, bro.
You might want to check with the moderators before you try submitting.
Before you spend like $1,000 for a system that doesn't exist
to
anymore.
hunt one of those down. Those are really cool motherboards. I want one just to hang it on my wall.
It would be a waste. You should dig eBay to find CPUs and bench the shit out of it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, ultimately, it would still end up on the wall at one point. It's like after you finish benching it.
Memory controllers.
And then last but not least, we've got the Alza OC Cup 2017, which is being sponsored by Alza. It's only open to guys from Europe. And there's some very nice benchmarks there. You've got XTU, you've got GPU Pi for CPU 100M, you've got Super Pi 32M, and then you've got Geekbench single core. So yeah, This will be interesting. It's only for LGA 1150, 1151, 1155. So basically, Kaby Lake wins.
Well, yeah, Kaby Lake will dominate, but anything from Kaby to Sandy Bridge can run. Quad cores only, so no high-end desktop stuff. Well, not quad cores only, but no high-end desktop stuff. You can run an i3 or whatever, but yeah.
Pretty pointless, but yeah.
Well, there is SuperPi 32 mil, which is a single
so if
benchmark. There's Geekbench single core, XTU, and
XTU is per core, right? So
is it? I'm not sure.
If it is per core,
no, highest score wins.
Highest score wins. No.
Okay.
Yeah, so those are multi-core. So yeah, they're not per core. But if you do have a quad core, like from any of those sockets, you have a decent chance. Because I do think, does it restrict the? Is there a cooling restriction?
Yeah.
Commercially, no restriction. Mainboard memory open to all leagues. No frequency.
No cooling restrictions. You can run liquid nitrogen.
Yep.
So yeah, that's a pretty cool competition for.
Yeah, there's also the Geekbench 3. So it's the single core.
Yep.
So you can still run that too.
You can still run a 70, 50K if
so
you have one.
It's quite of a balanced competition if you think about it.
Yeah,
so
it's really accessible and it is well balanced. And you can run it on liquid nitrogen. So definitely, a good competition to consider joining if you're from Europe.
That is us, actually.
Yeah.
And we won't, because we don't have that hardware, probably. Yes.
I could join. It's like I just don't enjoy it. I don't know. I might. It depends on if I have the time. It does run for a month, so we shall see.
Yeah, up to the first days of September. So when the weather gets a little bit cooler, but it doesn't matter for you because you're already cold.
You're in the UK. It's like 20 outside right now. Actually, it's probably like 18 at this point.
Yeah, it's the weather is weird. It's really a vantage point, especially in Russia. Like, should I buy dry ice or should I go outside? I'll go outside. So that's cool. That's cool. Let's dive into important thing.
That's pretty much it with the competitions, I think.
Yes.
Yeah.
But let's dive into something really important that happened the last weekend.
Yeah.
Isn't it? The HWBOT World Tour in Cape Town scored the winner, and the winner is Kevin Spacey. No, I'm kidding. It's Dr. Ruiz
that managed
to beat Shnoobab, right? Is it the right pronunciation? Shnoobab and Vivi and God. Yes. Sorry. The last one
was second, Shnoobab was third, and Vivi was fourth.
Yeah. Unfortunately, Vivi was fourth. I think he's the one that has most experience together with Dr. Ruiz. Actually.
I mean, just looking at the scores from here, I think he probably had some sort of issue because he couldn't even turn a score in for stage one.
Okay.
Yeah, he probably had some sort of hardware issue. I'm not too sure exactly what happened there.
That sucks.
Yeah, that kind of sucks.
That sucks, but that's how it goes. It's part of the competition.
Competitions, they really.
And I think we covered pretty much what happened this week about competitions and rankings and divisions and
Shnoobab is saying he came second. I'm so sorry.
Oh,
I'm so sorry. Oh well.
Sorry, Shnoobab. It was you. And okay, then. I think we should get right into the weekly news. What happened this week?
Yeah.
And this week was quite interesting for a couple of reasons. And the first one is the fact that apparently the official ASRock Twitter account for technical support replied to a tweet where it basically stated that the Kaby Lake CPUs won't be supported by the 200 series chipsets.
Yeah.
So it opens up a couple of questions, like, is it a different socket other than a different chipset? Because so far we knew that Z270 and Z370 basically supported the same CPUs. But now with Kaby Lake getting rumors with 6-core CPUs in the Core i7, and it seems also in the Core i5, area.
There's basically i3s are going to be quad core with hyperthreading, Core i5s are going to be 6 core without hyperthreading, and Core i7s are going to be 6 core with hyperthreading.
So it's quite of a confusing thing.
Basically, an i7 has become an i3.
Yes, unless they're locked. In that case, you're gonna be. I hope. Yeah, that's a huge demotion. Like you get i7, and it's the same thing as what happened between Broadwell E and Skylake X, when the 6950X was $1,700 and the 7900X was $999. So it's quite of a loss of value for those CPUs.
Yeah.
And ASRock said that, but we still gotta see what's gonna happen regarding CPUs, because we have the almost certainty that the mainboards will be different things. So maybe we will see something like LGA 1151 V2.
Possible.
That looks like a possibility. I mean, it's my own speculation, but it actually makes sense because it's the most usual thing that Intel does. It just changed the pin out of a socket or a CPU.
Add an extra.
So
or an extra.
So you're gonna see.
Add one extra pin, new socket. Bam.
Innovation. Remove 5 pins, new socket.
Add another new socket.
Exactly. So we're gonna wait and see, because
there might be a chance that it might just be like the chipset, like Z270 can't play with 6 cores for whatever reason, and so maybe the Z270 stuff will work on Z370, but it won't go in reverse.
Possible.
That might also be a thing.
Possible. Yeah. That
which
might
I think, at least for like the extreme overclockers, isn't so bad, because you can dump your old motherboard and get the new one, and now you have the 6 core and the 4 cores, and you can still reuse like your i3 and all that from Z270. But yeah, we shall see.
Yeah, it's been quite a roller coaster this year between those weird announcements from Intel. We got. I mean, it's been actually a difficult thing on the economical side of things, because overclockers and users got out with a new generation in January. Then another one in June for the Computex. Then now it seems like at the end of the year there's gonna be another platform. Maybe January. If it's not December, it's January. So it's.
All the general rumors are pointing to a Q3 or a Q4 launch for sure this year. So it's coming.
Yeah, Jumper 118 said Coffee Lake is mainstream, not HEDT. We know that, but we're talking about platforms. Because if you consider the 7700K, then the 7740X, that's not HEDT. That's taking the CPU and changing what's underneath it. It's not a HDD CPU. So we know that. It was just what's going on. That's why we mentioned the fact that there's gonna be 3 launches this year. And yeah, it's a weird situation. We'll wait and see. Just like Reddit says, wait for benchmarks. And for the next topic, we're gonna talk about something really interesting that was published this week. And guys, your mind are about to be blown, because mine was for sure. Ting, that is an extreme overclocker, a veteran overclocker, and employee at AVGA, has published the uncork guide for the 1080 Ti KPE. What's the uncork guide? It's just a baseline for overclock and extreme overclock with the new flagship card from EVGA. And you can find the link in the chat so that you can read it if you want. And guys, it's
a monster.
It's insane. The card itself is spectacular.
Sickening.
And the fact is that when you see through the charts that are included in the guide, you can see that the EVGA 1080 Ti KPE draws up to 1300 watts.
Yep.
And
Each
my
card.
mind was blown, literally, just like a PSU, apparently.
Yeah,
And-
no, they're recommending a minimum 1000 watt power supply because while it does peak as high as 1300 watts, it's not continuous load.
Yeah, of course. But
It's
still
not going to pull 1300 watts for the length of the benchmark. It's just it cycles up to 1300 watts a lot.
Yeah.
So if you have a weaker power supply, it'll take down the overcurrent protection pretty quick, even though it's not going to average out to like, it might average like 700 watts for the whole card, but it does spike to almost double its power draw, and some small weaker power supplies will trip OCP on that. Basically, if you want to run 4-way with these cards, you need 4 power supplies, 1 per card.
Five, one for the
and then
CPU
1
too.
for your CPU as well. Yeah.
Unless you've got like the 2000 watt super
Then you're
power.
gonna
Yeah,
just
even
need
then
4.
you'd still need two
Then you need
2000
3.
watts for the GPUs and still need a third
So
power
you know
supply.
what? Yeah, 3 exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he
that's
also
insane.
details all of the various features you get on the card, also the typical procedure for how you should work your way up on liquid nitrogen. So, like,
That's
the proper
a good
way
thing,
to do
yes.
it. Don't ever try to copy how I do things. It's so bad. It's like, yeah, here, the full procedure is like, step 1, first 30 to 60 minutes, boot the card, check that with near zero temperature, it runs around 2 gigahertz, stock to 1.3 volts, voltages. Then you pull it down to around minus 40, minus 60, do around 2.2. And then you eventually you work it all the way down to minus 1600, minus 160, and even basically as low as you can go, because the card doesn't actually have like a cold bug or cold boot bug either. You may see some weirdness with some of the new 16 nanometer and 14 nanometer architectures when they get really, really cold. Like they actually stop, they get too cold and they start complaining about it. Also,
you can
there's voltage
see-
recommendations up to 1.5 volts on the memory, which is pretty crazy.
Squeeze
Up to
like
a
100 or
gigahertz.
200 megahertz. Like
Yeah, you can almost get a gigahertz out of the memory at that voltage and with the LN2.
I mean, he's running 2100 easy.
Yeah.
Yeah, 2100 is like a given. The guide actually drives you more in the 2500 to 2600 range. So that's insane, guys. That's a huge amount of power draw, frequency so high. And there's also the BuildZoid video in the guide where you can see
which is really
the
surprising.
VRM analysis for the
like
Kingpin.
Yeah.
So yeah, we got BuildZoidception now. And yeah, that sums it up. The guide is really well written, of course. What do you expect from Tin? I mean,
it is like really. This is one of the things I think if you're an extreme overclocker, that makes the Kingpin edition cards really special.
This is what sells you.
Like,
yeah,
you can buy the card, you can read this guide, and
do what
you're
we did.
probably gonna hit exactly what is mentioned in this guide in terms of overclocking, which is really, really special because it's just like there's no guesswork involved. You're not sitting around going like, well, I'm not sure if this will work or if that'll work or if I'll kill my card doing this or if I'll kill my card doing that. Can the card take this? There's no worries. You get the card, you insulate your run pretty much, and you just need to have this open on a second screen somewhere on your phone or something, and just keep referencing it throughout your overclocking session, which like you don't get that with any other GPU. Like even the other extreme LN2 like extreme overclocking cards that I've seen, you don't get a guide this detailed.
Not at all. They're like, you buy the card, you're on your own, do your things and
here's the card and here's some tools. We're not going to tell you how to actually deal with it. And then EVGA just goes above and beyond to make this as easy as it could possibly be.
It's beautiful. This thing is just beautiful.
Yeah, on a more consumer side of things, there's also it's almost like a mini review of the card. That there's an explanation for the cooler, the fact that you can install a water block on it. It's single slot when you install a water block. It's really a complete explanation of what the card is, from the ground to the top, from the bottom to the top.
The best part is, this entire like overview of the card is really accurate, because Tin is one of the guys who spent a lot of time designing this.
Yeah.
So it's just like he must know the card like the back of his own hand. So it's like, if there's anyone that you would want writing a guide like this, it's probably him. So absolutely. And yeah, I think we got the things right for the 1080 Ti KPE. So we're gonna switch to the next topic. The next topic is things are getting even weirder with Intel. Because as if it wasn't enough to launch 3 platforms in 1 year, now partners are decided just to launch specific CPU lineups mainboards. So you're gonna find X299 boards that will support Kaby Lake X only, and mainboards that will support Skylake X only. One of the examples is the fact that Gigabyte is launching an X299 board that supports only Kaby Lake X, so it's the 4 core parts, dual channel, 16 lanes, while Asus with the Rampage 6 Extreme actually is not supporting Kaby Lake X, the 4 core parts.
Yeah, they went the other way.
So it was actually not that advertised, but if you go to the Asus Rampage 6 Extreme website, you can find in the specification the fact that the card does not support i7 7740X and i5 7640X. So if you followed our show in the previous episodes, you heard us complaining about the fact that those mainboards have to support 2 kinds of CPUs, one with the fiber, one without the fiber. So it seems that it's a problem for manufacturers too. And
like manufacturers just can't like. Here's the thing I see it like from say Gigabyte's perspective, right? It's like, why would anybody buy the fully featured X299 boards to run a KBX CPU? Like,
doesn't make sense.
What? Why would anybody do that?
Yeah.
So it makes total sense to make a cheaper SKU for the cheaper SKU, right? They're making a cheaper board for the cheaper chip, and as a result, we now sort of have this like X299 has kind of turned into like 3 different platforms at this point. You have the Kaby Lake X only, the everything support, and then the Skylake X only, which is just like.
This is getting funnier.
I mean, you could kind of see it coming that this might happen, but my god!
You actually see an X299 board that is, I mean, for all intrinsic purposes, basically the same as the mainstream board. You've got.
I was shocked when I saw the board with just 4 RAMs.
Yeah.
I was like, why?
I actually, with the only 4 RAM slots, it's like I can think of a few use cases where I wouldn't mind running something like a quad channel, 7820X or something.
Yeah.
With only 4 RAM slots. I mean, Ryzen is an 8 core and it runs on 2 channels as well.
Yeah.
So the 6 core doesn't really need quad. The 8 core doesn't really need quad. But it's not like you can slap one of the because of that, I've actually wondered, is like, what happens if you slap a Skylake X into one of these KBX only motherboards?
I think it won't just boot.
Is it even supported?
It's not supported at all. It's not like it's just.
I guess they won't post. Yeah.
Yeah.
That sucks because there is an MATX board from MSI that's Kaby Lake X only. So.
Okay. I mean, on the Rampage 6 Extreme, it totally makes sense. Because you're not going to buy 6 feet.
Why would you buy
600 euros? Yeah.
The board costs twice what your CPU does.
That's totally stupid. Like you could buy 4 CPUs with the price of the mainboard. And that totally makes sense, but not for the Kaby Lake X only. I mean, we already have Z270.
But KBX does clock a little bit better.
Yeah, it's like 100 megahertz under LN2. So I guess
than Z270.
Yeah.
So no, even on like air cooling and water cooling, it's about 100 megahertz more. It's just plus 100, plus 200 megahertz across.
Yeah,
the
the fact is that 100 megahertz at 5 gigahertz is like 2%. How much is it?
Yeah, it's 2%.
So who gives a damn about it?
Some people need that 2%.
Those people need
You know,
some meds.
you want
That's
to get
what
that
they need.
2%er feeling, you go buy your Kaby Lake X.
Yeah,
and your
they
Kaby
can
Lake X
compensate
motherboard.
2% more.
There might actually, like, yeah, it's
just compensation, guys.
Yeah,
weak.
no, I mean, look, for me, that 2% matters. So
It matters till a certain point. I mean,
I don't know
if we make the show talking about just the overclockers' point of view,
I think ultimately-
everything made by Intel makes sense. But if you put your feet on the ground for a second, you notice that something's wrong.
I totally agree with you. I totally agree with you. Totally. I've been screaming my head off that Intel has in fact committed suicide by not giving 44 lanes on the 8 core. It's just the dumbest move ever. It's seriously the dumbest move ever, because like it's majority of their market, and like everybody's looking. That whole segment has a lot of systems that ship with dual GPU workstations and stuff, and it just doesn't make sense. It's just stupid. They've killed themselves. Anyways, I digress again. This rant will carry on.
It's okay. When it's about Intel, we all digress because it's insanity made manufacturer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Though I still wonder, it's like if these Kaby like how much these KBX only motherboards will cost, because if they're not a lot more expensive than like a similar feature level Z270, it might make sense.
Yeah.
In like the most
weird way.
It'll just be a slightly better Z270, and if it costs the same, it's like, why the hell not?
Why the hell not? Yeah, I think that's where this is going, because I think the board cost should be more or less in line. Apart from
with like mid-range Z270, I don't think they can get it as low as like bottom of the barrel Z270 boards, because the socket is so expensive.
It's so expensive, exactly.
Yeah, but it's still like $10.
Agreed, but then
there's the markup.
Yeah,
it's like $10 worth of VRM ends up going for like 50 once it hits retail.
And then also it's X299, so yeah, there's going to be a sort of
there's also a different chipset on there and all that, so
the chipset's also more expensive. But I mean, if you can get these boards at around, I'd say $250 to say maximum
250.
Yeah, and then they totally start to make sense, because that's what you pay for, like even what was it, like I mean
that's like $200 is mid-range Z270 pretty much.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, it's lower than the lower X299 board, because they go like from 250 up. So that would make sense, as Billzoid said.
Correct.
Yeah, the image support in this moment is perfect with money. And you see, it's quite a weird situation. We're gonna wait for more informations about it, because it was just a fresh news happening this week, and we're gonna see some reviews in the next days, weeks, months, and we're gonna see if it actually makes sense.
True, and I'm even waiting to hear about there is a rumor, or I don't know if it's confirmed or not, but there is a rumor going around about, we were even talking about last time, is X299 i3s. So if that
happens, Z270, why it happened?
Ooh, it's just complicating things far too much now. Like even me as a system integrator, I'm going to have to go and actually check whether does this board even support the CPU at times, it's kind of silly. You expect one generation CPU to work in the same generation of motherboards, right? That's
maybe Intel is hoping that if they put out enough SKUs, they'll bury all the other AMD products on retailer pages.
CPU 99 results. It's like AMD N1.
Once they start naming them with like 0 series, so that they come up at the top of alphabetical lists, that's when you know they're just starting to bury search results.
Oh man, yeah. Let's switch side. I've had enough of Intel. Let's talk about AMD right now. because this week was also a source for a news about a new CPU that wasn't actually announced yet. So it's in the X399 Aorus Gaming 7 QVL. If you go and check the CPU support, there's a new CPU that AMD didn't mention, the 1920, that it's still a 12-core, 24 threads CPU with lower clocks. Like instead of
it's like the 1700 to a 1700X.
Exactly. So
and
we're
then,
gonna
by that,
lower TDP, lower frequencies, and same stepping, same socket, same everything apart from the frequency actually. So
there should be a 1950 also by this logic, and I'm sure there is.
I don't know, because the leaked price points we have for the price points we have for the 1950X and then the 1920X, there's not that big a gap. And if they put a 16 core in that gap, why would anybody buy a 1920X?
Yeah.
Right? Like they just I don't think so. I think they want to have that top 16 core and then the slightly faster 12, the slightly faster 12, the slower 12, and then the 8 core, which So
I mean, we're probably gonna see something in the range of a 1950 non-X. Same for the 90.
Yes, but like Bill Zoid is saying, I mean, there's basically $200 between the 1920X and the 1950X. Yeah, so
it's like if $100 gets you 4 more cores.
Yeah.
Why would you be buying the 1920X? Like,
single thread performance. There's I mean,
it's still Ryzen is all clocks the same.
The point is when it comes to high-end desktop platforms, not everyone is an overclocker. Not everyone knows how to actually overclock. Maybe I don't know. I mean,
OEMs,
1950X, despite being listen, the 950X, despite being a huge CPU, a great product, something really amazing for the price, there's not many programs that are going to use all the 32 threads. So maybe it makes more sense to have a lower thread count.
The thing is, those 32 threads are hyper-threading, and if you scale to 16 real cores beats 16 threads.
Yeah.
So I'm considering. I noticed there's a glitch in AMD's driver with Crossfire where if you run over 16 threads, it kills performance for some reason on the 3D Mark combined test. So I'm sitting here going you know what? I'll buy a 1950X and disable hyper-threading. And it should solve my issue, and I should still have a massive physics score compared to something like a 5960X or something, because hyper-threading at the end of the day is plus 30, plus 40% in multi-threaded workloads under ideal scenarios. So,
I honestly, I'm gonna stick with the 1950X. That's a given. I mean, right now I got 8-core CPUs. I was thinking of getting the 10-core CPU from Intel, but given the X299 fiasco, let's call it fiasco with the quotation marks, I think for the same amount of money, I'm gonna grab a 1950X and call it a day. I mean, if I need more cores for rendering and stuff, I'm gonna grab the most cores I can get for the same money. So I don't know. I mean, we got the cherry-picked benchmarks from AMD for their slides for the plus blah blah that yada percent compared to an Intel CPU. But we all know that we gotta wait for the actual reviews to see if those numbers are real.
True.
And the point is, ThreadRipper is gonna be great for 3D rendering. That's a given.
That's a given.
As we mentioned earlier, Lucky Noob got the ThreadRipper running at 5.2 gigahertz. He got 4,000 points and more on Cinebench. So we're talking about huge numbers that we couldn't even imagine on a single CPU system. And so it's gonna translate directly into a great rendering performance. But other than that, we're gonna see if it actually makes sense in other things. Because as I said, there's not many programs that actually scale up to that many threads. And yeah, we're gonna see. We're gonna see.
Also,
I mean,
also,
yeah.
there is I mean, if you actually think about it, if they can bring these CPUs, the 1920 and the 1950, if they can basically give them a lower power envelope and maybe bring down the price a little bit, they make a market for themselves in OEM systems and stuff like that, like the one that, you know, Alienware is shipping and stuff like that. Maybe because lesser TDP, so then they can maybe put them into smaller systems so they can do compact 16. I mean, I'm just throwing this out there. If they can meet, if agreed it's a lower frequency and stuff, but you still get 16 cores and you still get them in, you know, maybe slightly more compact systems, lesser TDP, all that kind of stuff. Who knows? Who knows? Who knows? But it's possible. It's all within the realms of possibility.
One thing is for sure, Zen is a great architecture. Zen and Ryzen. Yeah. Zen is the architecture for Ryzen, guys, if you didn't know that. Yeah. And Zen Plus, Zen 2 are going to be the killing hit for AMD regarding Intel on the CPU side.
Yeah.
I mean, they won't be better, but they will be totally on par with probably cheaper prices, because that's the trend actually. So it's gonna be if you're still not convinced about getting a Ryzen or a ThreadRipper CPU for the next year, maybe the next couple of years, we should see really interesting stuff, like seriously interesting stuff. And yeah, I guess that's it for ThreadRipper. I mean,
pretty much.
We could discuss about it forever, but I think my colleagues will agree with me. I think that we're gonna talk about ThreadRipper much better, much more in detail the next week, because it's the day after the ThreadRipper release. The next episode is the day after the TR release, so it's gonna be direct. We're gonna have on-end results. Hopefully ourselves, and we're gonna wait and see, guys. Wait and see. Wait for benchmarks. Part 2.
Well, I mean, I've already put in a pre-order here for the board and the CPU, so as soon as I get them, I'll have them. But then knowing India, they're probably late. So,
I think we're gonna be late too, because Italy is not that on par with hardware releases. We got Ryzen a week later than the rest of the world, so it's gonna be painful for me because I want to buy one.
Same here. Yeah. We're usually 3 weeks behind. I mean, if we get lucky.
Yeah, that sucks. And last but not least, the HWBOT World Tour is returning to Canada, to the DreamHack Montreal. And the procedures are always the same. You can participate to the ambient cooling workshop, where the guys at HWBOT will teach you about the basics of air and liquid overclocking. Or if you buy a special ticket, let's call it a special ticket, you can actually use LN2 and extreme ways of cooling, exotic ways of cooling to try and overclock your system. I mean, not your system, the system that is there, but you got the point. Of course, it's going to be held during the DreamHack in Montreal. So it's going to be basically a gaming event with an overclocking section of it, thanks to the HWBOT World Tour. And as usual, the ambient workshop is free. I mean, you're gonna get the ticket to get into the DreamHack, but once you're in, it's free to try it.
It's free.
If you get the special ticket, you can overclock with extreme ways of cooling. So it's pretty interesting to be introduced into overclocking, and it's also nice to see many young people, because basically it's a gaming event, so many young people are going to attend this event, and many young people are going to be introduced for the overclocking scene. It's always nice to have new rookies, new fresh meat to kill in overclocks with sandbags. Because remember, guys, the secret to becoming the greatest overclockers of all times is sandbagging. Never forget that.
One of them is
that. Yeah, I guess yes, this is in Canada. There's for someone that Montreal is in Canada. I'm asking for the direction, which region of Canada it is. It is in Quebec. Thank you.
Quebec, yep.
And so it's the French part of Canada, if I remember correctly.
Montreal.
And it's gonna be pretty cool. It's nice to see. It's nice. It's always nice to see when gaming and overclock are actually matched up, because actually overclocking was born to improve gaming in the first place, or at least productivity and power. Back in the days where you just need a pencil to overclock a CPU. Guess how far we got from the pencil on the Athlon XP CPUs today, where you can just press a button and the PC will overclock itself. So it's always nice to see new young people getting into overclock, because many times tech media has always said overclocking is dying, desktop PC is dying, long live consoles, long live notebooks and bullshit like that, and we still see a huge fan base for overclocking and gaming on desktop systems. So those little things, let's call it little things because it's not little. We're having an HWBOT stage in Montreal at the DreamHack, not the first gaming fair or the small town you grew up in. It's Montreal, the DreamHack. So it's great to see that with those little things we can push further, because our motto is keep pushing it. So it's nice to see that people are keeping pushing it. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean also because look, the whole point about overclocking is for us it's a lot of fun and it's competitive and all of that, and if you enjoy that, you should be at HWBOT and you should be pushing it. But basically also the point is that look, you can come to an event like this, you can learn how to basically extract the maximum out of your system. You can talk to some of the best overclockers out there. You can learn how to do just fine-tune your system for the maximum efficiency. FPS at the end of the day matters to gamers, right? So if like saying that, okay, you can get maybe 5-8 FPS by pushing your memory, or like learning how to actually use that memory, because there's so many people who buy good memory and then they still don't use it to the maximum. Like I think so many people
they don't even press the XMP button.
XMP, exactly. Yeah. Exactly. So like,
what a waste of resources.
Yeah, it is. They pay top dollar because they think they're buying the good stuff. It's rated higher.
You also sometimes get the opposite, like people buying 3200 plus rated memory on X99.
Yeah,
with like a Haswell E, which a lot of those won't even post 3200 at all.
Exactly. So it's like, and if you have made that investment, go there, figure out how to actually use it. Because you spent the money on some quality hardware. So, just beat on it hard, because it can take it. And that's what you'll actually learn there, how to do it safely, how to not really kill your hardware. And also you'll meet some of the best overclockers in the community. Plus liquid nitrogen overclocking is always cool. If you haven't seen it or if you haven't done it, this is, one of your best chances of actually doing something like this.
Yeah.
Since it's in Canada, I wonder if Mark0053 will be attending.
Yeah.
The last year World Tour winner.
Yeah.
Like that would he's an awesome guy to meet, definitely. Like he actually started overclocking very recently, but he's really good at it. And especially for the like the 1v1 competitive stuff. He had a serious system set up with like 3 motherboards so that he never had a motherboard in bad condition at the start. Yep. So
Jesus, that's commitment.
Yeah. Actually, that makes the Maximus Impact makes a lot of sense as a competition motherboard, because you can carry it around with you.
Yeah,
You can put 3 of them in a suitcase, and then you can.
Yeah, I saw
3 different boards.
The same thing last year as well at the G Skill comp when he won. He rolled in with 2 or 3 ASRock Z170 boards, like fully prepped, So I mean, that's basically if you have the hardware at your disposal, or if you can afford to do it, because fighting hardware at a competition happens far too often, and it's what lets an overclocker down, because you've got one board or maybe two, and they've been beat through a few days, just getting to the top. So yeah, fresh hardware goes a very long way, and you don't even have to sit there drying it up and worrying about moisture and stuff like that. It just takes away so much of that whole pressure and thought process. You can just helps a lot, but that's commitment. And it costs. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we could wrap the show up. We're gonna say goodbye if you just tuned in for the OC show, and we're gonna dive right into the after party. So stay tuned if you wanna follow us for another hour or so, or if not, have a nice day, evening, everything. And see you. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you in the next episode. I'm Atlas. And those are my colleagues.
Buildzoid.
Yes.
I'm so you can call us the Bat Team.
Yes, we're the Bat Team. Thanks to... this video. NVIDIA. That's